Hey Dan, quick video showing you just some info about Basecamp, how we use it, what the different steps are that you need to do, and all that sort of stuff. So, when you're in a specific project in Basecamp, you see we're in the test project right here. Right at the very top, whenever you get a new client, you're going to be creating the Basecamp project for that client, and then you're going to add Derek and I to that project. So right at the top, add remove people. You click on this. This is how you add other people to the project. You see you and I are both on this. Up here, invite people, pick people to invite, name, and then you just type in, if you want to add Derek to it. He goes by James, the AdWords expert in this, so you add James. Um, you got to invite anybody else to it. Here's our list of people. You can add whoever you need. If you ever want to go back, you just click test up in the top. It goes back to your project. So the main ones we use here are message board and to-dos. Message board is just for, like, if we have to write something about a message, something specific about this client within it. We pretty much don't use this anymore since we have Slack. We just talk there. Um, these other ones we pretty much also never use. So it's basically to track all the to-dos and a way of organizing everything efficiently. So you click into the to-dos. I wrote a little bit about these things. Um, so when you're in AdWords down here, this is more like, you have the client and um, we're starting to build the campaign now. So one of the very first things that happens when I assign a client to someone, when I assign a client to a CO, to you or somebody else, one of the very first things I do is I send out an introduction email and I send it to the client and I copy the CO on that email, which is what this very first to do is. Start introducing and CCing CO to the client. So I'll send an email out to the client introducing you, giving some information to the client, and then basically you take it from there in terms of the communication with the client. So this first to do is more for me. Once I've completed that, you'll see I just check it off, and it's gone. It's checked off down here. I've done it, and I'll let you know. I mean, you'll get it because I'll CC you on it, so you'll get it in your email, but I'll tell you in Slack as well when I send out the intro email so you know to expect it. Get access to their AdWords account. So during the sales process, very often I already get access to their account. So many times this will already be completed. In the CRM, you'll see there's an area in it labeled account name and MCC. Same as right here, enter account name as it appears in the MCC and the CRM. So these two are pretty much tied together, getting access and updating that field in the CRM. And it's so that you know, obviously, where they are in the MCC, how you can access their account to do work on it. So normally these are also things that I will have done, but not always. So not 100% of the time. And giving account access to the campaign builder is making sure you have access to the MCC. So these three are all about making sure that you have access to the MCC and to the specific AdWords account. Next in the CRM, naming the campaign builder in the CRM is also something that I'll most likely be doing when when a new lead becomes a client for us and I assign it to a CO. When I do that, I always update a few fields in the CRM, one of them being the assigned campaign optimizer. So it's listed there in the records and whatever. So I'll be most likely doing that. So that one also will normally be dealt with or checked off by the time you get onto it. So also naming the campaign optimizer in CRM, same deal. It's another one that it's just updating the records. So a lot of these things are really fast. Just as you can see, they're just updating records in the CRM just so everything is organized correctly. Campaign builder pre-launch build finish. So that means that campaign builder, which is you, that means when the build is complete. So let's say you have to build, a search campaign for a client. Well, once the search campaign is completed, you've built it, it's all built and ready to go, and you've also sort of cleared it by Derek and I. So you've told us that it's built, and we've taken a look over it all. We always do just like a quick skim through it all to make sure everything's good. And so once that's all completed and your build is done, you'll come in here and check off campaign builder, pre-launch build finished. You'll check that off. Conversion tracking codes, obviously setting up conversion tracking is super important. We all know that. And so we'll have to be setting up the conversion for a client, conversion tracking. You'll have to create the conversion actions. Oftentimes we use Google Tag Manager since that's new and better than it used to be, and it's pretty helpful. You don't necessarily have to use Tag Manager, but it's pretty darn robust. So I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. If you're not, just let me know. So conversion tracking codes, you'll have to create those tracking codes within the Google Ads account, and then also create a new container within Tag Manager. I don't know if we've sent you the login details for the Tag Manager account that we all use together. If you don't have that, let me know. We'll send it to you. And again, if you don't have Tag Manager or whatever, we can chat about that. So once you've created all those codes and you've linked it to the Tag Manager account, the client obviously needs to install those codes on their website. So you'll be sending it to them, and it'll also you'll send them the codes and instructions on where they have to paste those codes onto their website. Once all that stuff's done and it's ready to go, you check it off here. One thing that I do that helps me track conversion tracking codes, because if you have a lot of projects on the go, it's hard to remember, okay, conversion tracking codes, have I sent them the codes yet? Have I made the codes yet? Where am I in this? So what I do is you click over here. If you click on just anywhere here, if you click on this, it brings you into this specific thing and you can write notes for yourself. So like oftentimes if I've created the conversion tracking codes and I've sent it to the client, I'll just write something like created, sent to client, waiting for client to add to website. So now I know exactly where I'm at in this step. If I go back to my to-dos, you'll also notice that there's a little one next to it, meaning, oh, cool, I've made a note about this so I don't forget something. So once that's done, you check it off. Automated rules. There are certain automated rules we can use within AdWords to make our lives easier. You may already use, you might already take advantage of things if you're doing manual cost per click as your bid strategy. Maybe use automated rules to do bid shifting every couple days or whatever to keep your ad positions where you want them to be. If you already use automated rules, we would love to know which ones you use. And if you don't, we can tell you the ones that we use. And if you want to use them, then great. If not, no problem. You don't have to. It's just a step we have in here to remind ourselves, oh yeah, if I want to use automated rules, let's do it. Final questions answered and applied, budget, geo, etc. So one of the very last things we do once the campaign is built, conversion tracking is done, everything's ready to go. We have to send out a final round of questions to the client. So one of the last things that we ask is, we confirm their monthly budget. What do they want their budget set to? We ask what they want their geographic targeting to be. We ask what we want their ad schedule to be. So those are like the three sort of right before launch questions that we ask. And at the same time, we also inform them that once they've answered these questions and we have these and they're ready to go, we're going to set up their recurring payment. So we charge them a one-time setup fee, and then we charge them a monthly recurring fee. So once we've sent out the final questions and they've told us their budget, their geo, their ad schedule, any remaining questions we might have, we've done that. So lastly is the recurring invoice. So you'll let either Derek or I know that it's time for a client to have their recurring payment set up. After everything else is completed, all these other things are done, they've answered the final question, it's time for the recurring invoice. So you tell us that. We'll create it in the accounting stuff that we do. So we'll create that recurring invoice. And we don't even actually have to send the client anything. Once they pay their startup fee, their credit card is on file with our payment processor. So once that happens, we create the recurring payment, and then we just charge their card for the recurring payment. Now, obviously, we let them know we're doing this, and they're already aware of it, and they know the price and all that sort of stuff. So once everything's done, like after you get your final questions, one of the last emails you're ever going to send before launching is just, okay, great, we're ready to go. Please confirm that you're good with us to, create the recurring and charge your card now. And then once it's paid, obviously we want to know that they've paid. That's something we'll tell you because you won't really know when they've paid. We'll be able to check it on our side. Um, so once that's paid, we'll tell you that they're paid. And as soon as they've paid, that's when we actually turn on their campaign. So we don't turn a campaign on and really launch it until they've paid their recurring monthly. So we'll tell you that. And then once all of stage one is completed, so that's stage one, which is a client has gone from a prospect or a lead into a client. We've sold them, they've signed up with us. Stage one is the startup process, which is all the building of the campaign, setting everything up, pre launch. Obviously, you get paid for that. So the campaign builder paid, you got to tell us when um, you're finished all of this and when the recurring invoice is paid. So you tell us that, okay, cool, I've finished stage one now for so and so client. So this is the test project. So I finished stage one for test client. So we know that and we take note of it as well, so that you get paid your stage one payments. A couple things to do after launch, um, which is making sure stage one coordinator has been paid. So, again, we want to make sure we have a couple areas reminding everybody to make sure everyone's getting paid. So stage one coordinator paid is just sort of it's redundant because we have it up here, but it's sort of a backup to make sure that, yes, okay, it's been paid properly. Next, we have add date of campaign launch to CRM field. That's super, easy to whatever. In the CRM, there's a field called date of campaign launch. So the moment you turn on the campaign, you just update that field. Tell James you launched so he can send personalized welcome email. So once we launch the campaign in Slack, we'll have a specific channel for each client. So every client you're working on is going to have a separate Slack channel to keep it organized that way. Those Slack channels will have you, me, and Derek, aka James. All three of us will be in those Slack channels. So when the client's launched, just write in a Slack channel that it's launched so we know. Add to Uptime Robot is something we do. You don't have to worry about that. Add impression checking script to their campaign. We have a little script that we can add into the AdWords accounts. Maybe you use scripts as well. They're very similar to automated rules, but they just help keep track of certain things. So we have one that checks if there have been impressions in the last, X amount of hours. And it's just a way of, you don't necessarily have to be in every single client's account every single day doing changes, because sometimes there's nothing to change. Sometimes there's no needed changes for 3-4 days. But if something catastrophic happens and an account stops running, we can't have it not run for 4 days until we check again. So we have this impression checking script that'll tell us, is there a campaign that's not running, no impressions, whatever. The client have a My Business account. One of the things we want to do is link the Google My Business account to the Google Ads account so that clients can take advantage of the location extensions. This doesn't apply to every client. Certain clients don't want location extensions, or if they're like an e-commerce website, it doesn't really make sense for them to have a location extension. But for everyone who does, we got to ask, do they have a My Business account? We got to go through the process of linking their My Business to the AdWords account, which is something you'll be doing. This is not for you. This is something for Derek and I. Update the stage field in CRM. So once a client goes from stage one, which is pre-launch, and the moment you launch their campaigns, they're now in stage two. So in the CRM, there's a field called stage, and it's a drop-down menu, and once they launch, you'll just change it from stage one to stage two. Make report in Data Studio. So we send the clients a link to a Data Studio report, which is all of their important metrics updated in real time, and we can just send them that link, and that way they can always click that link and see what their cost per conversion is, what their conversions are, how much they've spent this month, how many clicks they've gotten, what they've spent total, what their cost is, stuff like that. So Dale is the one who handles creating the Data Studio reports and setting all that up. So once a client is launched, again after launch, you can message Dale in Slack and tell her who the client is and that they're launched and that we need a Data Studio report for them. So she'll go off and do that, and then once she's done, she'll send you the Data Studio report link, and you'll update the CRM in the field called report link, and you'll just copy and paste the Data Studio URL into the CRM, and then you can send it to the client as well. Since we'll be working together on the first client, the first couple of clients, making sure everything's cool, we're going to be going through like every one of these together while we're actually doing it for real. So if you have more questions, I'm sure it'll be covered while we're doing it. In the meantime, you can play around in Basecamp and sort of see how everything works if you want. Super straightforward and easy. So if you have questions, let me know.